Hello, this is Raghunath. So, in this tutorial, I will be doing exploratory data analysis of global terrorism using Jupyter Notebook. This work is a part of graduate or technical internship program offered by the Spark Foundation. Let's get started. So, first up, uh, we are importing the requisite libraries, namely NumPy, pandas, matplotlib.pyplot, and seaborn. And the uh, the data set, which is in the form of a CSV file, is being read and stored in as a data frame, which is named DF. So I had used the encoding to be Latin 1, as without that there was when I tried to load without that, it threw an error. I had also opened the data file using Excel. So this is how it looks like. It consists of several columns, about 135 of them. I had browsed through all of them and selected, handpicked the requisite ones that are essential for the data analysis purpose. So moving on, so applying head on the data frame, had list down the top the 5 records. Not all the records are being displayed here because there are about 135 of them. And applied the describe method on the data frame, and applying info method specifies that there are about 135 entries and 135 columns, and the number of records, they are about 1,81,690. So just to have a glance of all the columns present in the data set, I had used this to list on the columns present in the data frame. So this lists down all the columns that are present. So here. So now selecting only those requisite columns. They are year, the country text, region text, city, success, attack type 1, target type 1, target subtype, target 1, nationality, gang name, motive, and kill, property. So these are the columns which are actually selected for the data analysis, and this we are loading, assigning to another data frame named terror. So applying info on the terror, it has about 14 columns. The data types are being displayed here, and the number of entries which are there in the respective columns. So starting now with the number of countries, so we are interested in finding the number of countries which has reported the terror activities from 1970 to 2017. So there are about 205 different countries. And how did we find that? Using NUnique. So on the unique method specifies or outputs the unique categories present in a column, where NUnique specifies the number of unique entries in the column. So there are about, so I checked internet, there were in 2017 there were about 249 countries. So among them 205 have reported. So next, we would like to identify region wise the number of terror incidents that had reported. So we are applying the value counts method on the region text column in the data frame. So this is the output, and this is already present in descending order. So for better visualization, we are plotting it using plt.bar using the matplotlib. So adjusting the figure size here so that all of the X values can be viewed without any overlap. So plotting that, so in the x-axis, in the PLT bar, in x-axis, the index of the value index is being input, and the height holds the values, these corresponding values. And the title, X label and Y label are accordingly given. So now analysis of the graph. The Middle East and North Africa, the MENA region, and the South Asia region seem to have reported many terror activities, which is evident from this figure. And the region which is where there has been less of terror activities are the last 3 months, which are significantly low: Australasia and Oceania, Central Asia and Eastern Asia. So the regions of hot zone of terrorist activities are Middle East and Northern Africa and South Asia region. So next up, we are checking the countries where minimum terror incidents have been reported. How do we do it? Using value counts on the country, and we use the tail. The 30 value specifies the last 30 from the bottom. So these are the countries: Falkland Islands, Antigua and Barbuda, and so on. So these countries have reported less number of terror activities. Then we can safely conclude that relatively these countries are quite free from terror activities and are conducive for living peacefully. Yeah. So I was just wondering, there was this international entry, so I wanted to check what is this about. So specifying that and inputting in the terror gives the corresponding record. So this is occurrence of a bombing explosion event on an oil tanker. So this must have occurred in the sea, so which is why the country hasn't been specified, but this had taken place in the Gulf of Aden. Proceeding on, so now we are checking on the countries which have reported the maximum number of terror strikes. So we use the value counts and then we choose head. There we had in the previous code we had used tail. Tail gives the last values in the last, whereas head gives the top values. So plotting that using the same plt.bar which we have used before. So this is the graph that we obtained. So Iraq seems to have reported the maximum number of terror attempts, followed by Pakistan, Afghanistan and India. So this is the top 10 countries which have reported from 1970 to 2017. So next up, we are interested in finding the gangs which have carried out the maximum number of attacks. We use the similar value counts, but on this time on the gang name column. So, and we are plotting the same using SNS, this time using SNS bar plot, just so that in this the X values are taking the values from this previous value counts that we have made, and in the y-axis we are taking the index, this corresponding the terror organization name, because these organizations are quite lengthy, and just to fit in the given canvas, I had inverted the axis and plotted using bar plot accordingly. Now analysis of the graph. Taliban seems to have carried out the most of the attacks on the global scale, followed by Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, followed by Shining Path. And moving on, we now are interested in finding the attack type, the common preferred mode of attack which these terror organizations have resorted to. So we again apply value counts, and we are analyzing this through SNS.bar plot. So bombing and explosion is the most prevalent method of attack, followed by armed assault and assassination. This is on the global scale. And then what are the targets? Which most common targets type of the terror organizations? Again, we apply the value counts on the target type. We are visualizing it through again bar plot. So here private citizens and property are the most common target types, followed by military, police, government, business, transportation. So this is the analysis on the global data. Now I would like to do an analysis on our country, India. So applying this filter, so I'm choosing from the original data frame or the selected data frame with a specified column. I'm choosing the country to be India, and I'm passing it on to the actual data frame to get all those entries pertaining to India alone. Checking the head of the data frame gives gives this result. And if you check the country text here, all of them are India. Applying the info method, it gives all the corresponding column names and the number of entries and the data type. So now checking, so that is this column named success, and it takes a binary value 0 and 1, two different unique values, and doing a value count gives the output one number of successful attempts, that are successful terror attempts which have been made in India from 1970s, about 10,000 to 80, and the number of failed attempts, or the attempts that are thwarted, is about 1680. So next up, we are checking what are the different years in which India has reported the terror strikes. So we do value counts on the year column, and we take in the index and we sort the values. This can also be done using multiple methods, wherein one could have also simply chosen the unique values and could have equivalently done. There are many methods, but I've chosen it to be doing this way. So next up, we will try plotting the year-wise terror attacks that has been reported in India. So using the same previous value counts, we are employing the seaborn bar plot method to plot this. So analysis of the graph now. From about 1987, the number of terror attacks have increased, and there has been a variation, sine curve like thing, up and down. But one particular striking thing from this graph is that since 2008 there has been a gradual and significant increase in the number of terror attempts compared to any of the previous years. So let's now check for what are the Indian cities that are targeted the most. So how do we do? From the Indian data frame, we select the city column and we do value counts, and we apply the head. We filter only the top 11 values, and for whichever attacks that they couldn't locate, they couldn't have the data on the city name, is being classified as unknown. So plotting that using again bar plot gives the following result. So Srinagar seems to have been the hot zone of terror activity in India, followed by Imphal, the capital of Manipur and northeast, followed by national capital New Delhi. So now since the recent decade, from the trend on the number of terror attacks over years reveal that since 2008 there has been a sharp increase. So we are now applying getting the data from 2008, and then checking what are the cities that are being targeted in the last decade. So there has been a change in the top two positions. With Imphal now, this can be better visualized from the graph, which is being again plot using bar plot. So Imphal now seems to be the top city which has reported the maximum number of terror incidences in the last 10 years. That is from 2008 to 2017. Whereas the number of terror attempts have decreased in Srinagar. So rest all follows. So next up, we are checking what is the very common mode of attack employed by terrorists in India, and very much similar compared to the global scenario. Here again we are using bar plot, and this is the visualization. So bombing or explosion is the most preferred attack route, followed by armed assault, assassination, hostage taking, and attack on infrastructure. Next up, we are checking the common target types. How are we doing that? Using bar plot, using the value counts in the similar manner which we had plotted the previous ones. So analyzing the graph now, even in India, the common target types seems to be private citizens and property, followed by police, government, organization, business, and military transportation. So the difference from the world scenario is that military had come in the second position, whereas in India, police organizations are targeted uh, next, with respect to private citizens and property. So next, checking on what are the common target subtypes. So it's again using the target subtype column in the India data frame. And this is the result. So police and security forces, followed by unnamed civilians, and followed by political party. These are the common subtypes, top common subtypes which are being targeted in India by terror organizations. This is overall from the data from 1970 to 2017. And what are the prevalent terror organizations that have carried out the most attacks in India? So that is being obtained using the gang name column by applying the Valley-Counts method. And yeah, we will now analyze the interpretation of this. The Communist Party of India, Maoist, they have carried out the most number of attacks in India since 1970, and followed by Sikh extremist United Liberation Front of Assam, ULFA, and followed by Hizbul Mujahideen and Lashkar-e-Taiba. Now, filtering that, putting a filter on the year from 2007 and checking what the terror organizations which have carried out prevalent attacks in the recent decade. That comes out to be again Maoist, the Naxals, followed by ULFA, and Garo, National Liberation Army, has come up, followed by all the other organizations. One difference is that in the last 10 decades, the number of attacks by Sikh extremists have been out of the picture. That is, the terror organizations have got subsided. So this is about the exploratory data analysis of the global terrorism and with respect to India. And yeah, thank you all for your time.